ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिर्वोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यस्साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्र्यचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः। ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः। देवाय तस्मै नमः। देवाय तस्मै नमः। अथ द्वितीयोऽध्यायः। श्रीभगवानुवाच 12th verse। न त्वेवाहं जातु नासं न त्वं नेमे जनाधिपाः न चैव न भविष्यामः सर्वे वयमतः परम्। So Bhagavan is answering to the sorrow of Arjuna. He's answering to the Arjuna, but he's answering to the sorrow of Arjuna basically, because the sorrow has arisen because of the people who are around, all relatives. Well, they will be non-existence in the future. That's the criteria. But Bhagavan is going to tell this about Atma, which is, he is referring to past also. In past, they were not existent. That was not the case. And in future also, would not be existent. They would not be non-existent. That would not be the case. Like that, with the two negative particles, Bhagavan is showing the Atma is Anadi also. For Atma is from beginningless time. Atma is Ananta also. In future also, it is going to exist, and therefore it is Anantam. Anantam is which is limitless in terms of time. That's called Anantam. Na Antaha is Ananta. Antaha means end. Na Antaha, Anantaha. So there is no end to Atma. I mean, it's limitless in terms of time. And therefore, Atma is ever existent. It shows Atma is ever existence. In other words, Atma is of nature of existence. I mean, there would not be a case when the fire was not hot. There will not be a case when fire will not be hot. That will not be the case. Like that, if you say, that shows that fire is the nature of the, heat is the nature of the fire. That's how we have to understand. Now here, we are analyzing the situation in which there are two people and they are conversing with each other. I mean, they are arguing to each other. One is telling that this body is Atma. Other is telling the Atma is something distinct from the body. Now, who wins, we will have to see. So, natve vaham jatunasam. So, natu eva aham jatunasam, that we have seen. I was not, that is not. I was not there, that is not. And then I said, it starts with the argument. Basically, a person says, look, consciousness is just an attribute of the five elements. So therefore, don't tell that Atma is something which is distinct from the body, because the five elements, that too basically four elements, will have to leave aside the space. The four elements combined together in a certain fashion will generate the consciousness. That's the thing. And we gave an example also. So many examples we have given. Like you take a turmeric powder, you take a lime powder, and when you mix together, you get a different color with a different attributes called kumkumam. You get this? So haldi is never used. Haldi has one kind of properties. Color also is different. And lime powder is for different purposes. It has its own properties and it has its different color. Everything different. When they combine together, very third thing is arisen with a different attributes. Well, so same way these elements combined together will generate consciousness. And that consciousness which is generated, let's say in a brain, then the whole body becomes conscious. That's how it is. So you feel the body is conscious, but ultimately it has arisen from the body only. And therefore body is considered as a Atma. That's what the meaning of the sentence is. Then we started analyzing. We are answering. Body is not Atma. That's our premise. So body is not an Atma. How? Then we said, if body is Atma, Bhagavan would not have used two negatives. Very first thing. Because Bhagavan said, I was not there, that is not. Right? I was not there, that is not. Instead, Bhagavan should have said, I was not there. That's all. Why? Because body was not there. Before 50 years or before 30 years, before 20 years, a particular day before was not there. Like somebody's birthday is 12th June, suppose. Right? 12th June 1961, suppose. Then on 11th June 1961, he was not. And 12th June, suppose he is born on at 9 o'clock and 25 minutes in the night. So at 8 o'clock in the night, he was not there. So Bhagavan should have said, if body is Atma, Bhagavan should not have used two negatives. One negative was enough. I was not there. Definitely. Before few years. But Bhagavan has used two negatives. I was not there, that's not. That shows that Bhagavan is not referring to the body. It is something else Bhagavan is referring to. Atma it is referring. That's one thing. Now, what happens is, like a person, we give an example. Look, you take a state of a deep sleep state. In a deep sleep state, suppose in a waking state, the body is conscious. Therefore, definitely body is Atma, let's say, because Atma is consciousness. Body is consciousness. Then body is Atma. Okay, that's fine. What about deep sleep? In deep sleep, it seems that body is not conscious. Otherwise, if body is conscious, right now as through body, whatever I'm experiencing, same way this kind of experiences should be there even in the deep sleep state. But in deep sleep state, neither I know anything, neither I touch anything, neither I taste anything, neither I smell. The body seems to be inert kind of a thing, unconscious. Well, that's fine. He said because of, the elements, in a certain combinations are there, the consciousness arises. In deep sleep, that variation, the combination, the proportion of the four elements differ. So consciousness goes. Okay, fine. That's also we accept. That's correct. So, therefore, okay, we accept it. But what about during deep sleep? If some conscious being arises out of the same body and imagines a body, imagines the senses, and experience the dream world. Body is, of course, in a deep sleep state, and it has become unconscious. You and me both accept. Then who is that conscious being who is experiencing the dream? Right? Through imagined body and imagined senses. Who is that? Definitely now you cannot tell, because this body is lying as it is right now. It's unconscious. Therefore, that conscious being must be different from this physical body. Right? Because otherwise, if body is consciousness, definitely he would wake up. Body is consciousness, then like a waker, he would be a waker. But in deep sleep state, we see it is almost lying as it, like an unconscious thing. Still some conscious being arise out of that and experience the dream state. That shows the consciousness is different from this physical body. And when he wakes up, that conscious being who was experiencing the dream state, called dreamer, let's say, like in a dream also experiences sounds and taste and touch and everything, different forms, different colors, right? Whole world he also experiences, the world which is made up of all these things, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, through imagined senses, through imagined body, right? Now same conscious being wakes up and tells and that I experienced the dream. Right? He says, he won't say some conscious being has experienced the dream. He says, I have experienced the dream state. So whoever is in waking state, the conscious being, is the same conscious being who has also experienced dream state. Therefore, even in the waking state, you may think that this body is conscious and therefore body is Atma, but that conscious being is a distinct from even this physical body. If that conscious being is the same conscious being of a dream state, then in dream state you have accepted that one was a different from this physical body because we're lying unconscious, and that conscious being is experiencing even waking state. Well, that proves that even in a waking state, the consciousness or a conscious being which is distinct from this physical body. And that conscious being comes and sits in the eyes and becomes a seer, comes and sits in the ears and becomes hearer, and like that. In a dream also, the conscious being sits in the imagined eye and becomes seer of the dream world, and right, and comes and sits in the imagined ears and becomes a hearer. Same way. Right now I am awake and therefore even the senses etc. are awake. So the same conscious being was a dreamer, now comes and sits in the waking state also and experiencing the objects of all these things. And therefore definitely body is not consciousness. Consciousness must be distinct from the physical body, this physical body which is in the waking state, or the body which is in the dream state, or the senses. Then it proves that this conscious being transact with the world through the physical body and through the senses. Physical body and senses, either of the waking state, either of the dream state, are basically just instruments for transaction for the conscious being. They are not Atma. They are instruments. The instruments are always different from the user of the instruments. That much we know. In world we have seen that a carpenter is one who uses instruments to make a table, etc. Then whatever he uses must be different from the carpenter. That much we know. So basically the body, a dream body or this body, dream senses or these senses, basically just are instruments, either to experience a waking world, either to experience dream world. Right? And therefore body is not Atma. It's a big thing. It's a very big thing. We have almost crossed, we have almost crossed the ocean of samsara, if one understands this. Because most of our self-judgments are based on all our self-judgments, because for an ignorant person, the self is nothing but the body. That's how we have taken this stand. We have said as though that the person is sitting and arguing, but that's a stand of an ignorant person. That's a stand of an ignorant person. And so ignorant person just is born with the idea that this is the Atma, this is the self. And he lives with this kind of a notion throughout the life and goes. And unnecessarily, taking body as a self, he undergoes so many pains, so many pains. The very first pain is a pain of limitations, varieties of limitations, because body is limited. Body is limited all the way. And the condition of the body becomes the condition of the self. And body being what it is, today good, today, tomorrow will be different. Even subtle body also, we will be coming. So subtle body also, mind in right now in a one state, just within 10 minutes the whole thing, scenario changes, like clouds, and it becomes clear like thing. So they just keep on changing. Let them change, that's their nature. But no, that's I am undergoing all kind of changes, and that creates a havoc for a person. That is called samsara. A sense of a limitation, sense of sorrow. Then attachment, everything will come. Attachment will be only possible for a person who considers body as a self. All our attachments are just because a attachment to a person, attachment to an object, attachment to a situation is only possible for a person who says, whose self-judgment is, I am the body. If that is not there, there is no attachment. No, then the sorrow is also not born. Neither the confusion, nothing. Moha, delusion also is not there. So basically, samsara means raga, shoka, moha. If you want to get free from that, you should know clearly that you are not the body. You have to give this kind of a logic again and again to your mind, in which the self-judgment is very, very well rooted. I am the body. To make it little shaky, first you have to tell logically, explain through your own experience of dream and everything. You have to make a distinction. Even if you have not abided in a consciousness, I am just a consciousness, forget about it. But at least it will create a space between you and your self-judgments. Well, that's a big thing. It's a very, very big thing, that consciousness cannot be Atma. Consciousness is just distinct from all the three bodies. Anyway, I'm emphasizing, but just, person is suffering too much because of this judgment about myself that I am body, and then undergoes varieties of that. This is just a notion. If my own experiences, if I take into account and analyze in proper this one, then the whole self-judgment buildings, they just fall apart. They just fall apart. And along with that, the samsara also goes. Anyway, so in waking state, definitely these are the instruments. In dream state, the mind, our own impressions, vasanas, are the material to create the whole dream world. And there the mind has become an instrument to make the world or to experience the world. Mind is definitely required. So that mind is nothing but not fully awake mind. As Swamiji said, day before yesterday, it's just half awake kind of a thing. Half awake means in which at least intelligence is sleeping. Mind is awake, but one of the function of the mind called intelligence, let's say, doing a proper, with a discrimination, you do a nishchaya, that this is not true, this is true, etc. That faculty is sleeping. Otherwise, you will not tell the dream world as a real world. You are saying in a dream world, in a dream you are saying this is all real, and then you undergo problems also. Some people just, they see some tiger or some thief or something, and they just become so afraid in dream. Then they just wake up. And then they realize it was all mithya. But during dream, definitely. That shows that such a kind of a discrimination which I am having in a waking state. If somebody says, imagine tiger if somebody shows me. I say, I am not going to afraid it. But that's in waking state. Because the faculty called intelligence is awake. That faculty is sleeping there. But other part of this our mind called the storage of past impression. That door is open of the storage. From there, we create the entire dream world. And that's how your storage is different from my storage is different from mine, and therefore everyone's dream world is unique. What you see, even you see the same place. Suppose you and me all are seeing the same place in a dream, suppose. Still I tell you, your imagination of this ashram in a dream is entirely different than mine. Because you have one kind of impression about this place, I have different kind. Therefore, that mind is an instrument to create the dream world, as well as to create the dream body, dream senses, and then to have experiences. And that instrument also resolves in a deep sleep state, third state. And there you are no more a knower. Why I am not a knower? Knower of sleep, why don't you say? Because there is nothing to know there. If there is nothing to know in a deep sleep state, you are not a knower. But Swamiji, this is not acceptable to us. See, when you say you are a knower, at least you have in your mind, I am a limited being. Like right now you are a knower, right? Knower of a Swami's body and this place and everything. Seeing, hearing, this is a knower. But yes, that knower with a certain dimension is there that you know. You are aware of yourself as a knower with a certain dimensions. You will not have that kind of idea, I am limitless. I am a knower and limitless. Never. Because the body limits. Even in terms of a knower in a waking world, you take yourself as a knower along with this body. You will say, I am a knower of this, I am knower of that, I am knower of external world. You consider this body, including, you include a body in a knower. So knower is limited with a certain dimension in a waking state. Waker is limited. Same with sleeper, dreamer. Dreamer also, definitely you create your body and you enter into that as a conscious being, and imagine senses are there and you experience. And you definitely experience in a way that this is a very beautiful world I am seeing, etc., etc. So there also the knower is limited. Who? Dreamer. But in a deep sleep state, you don't have any dimension. You are very much there to experience dream world. But you cannot say, Swamiji, in deep sleep also, I was having some dimension. The dimension which you experiencing in a dream state, in a waking state, such dimensions are not there about yourself in a deep sleep state. That's how I say you are not a knower. If you are a knower, definitely the known is different from you. You will always, the knowledge only takes place when knower and known are different. And therefore, if known is not there, you are not a knower too. Then who am I? The knower is arisen from the knowledge. Knower, the basic nature of knower is what? Knowledge. We call consciousness. And therefore just consciousness, limitless consciousness is there. No limit. In a deep sleep even you don't have a limitations of time. You don't have a limitation of a space. Right now you have a limitation in terms of space. You know that you are sitting there. She is sitting there. He is sitting there. I am sitting here. Such awareness is there. I am localized. I am at this place and not at that place. That awareness is there. You need not say, but you know you are at this particular place and not there. Such limitation, localization is not there in deep sleep. You don't have any localization in terms of, in deep sleep. The space-wise limitation also is not there, which you generally experience as a waker and as a dreamer. And well, time also is not there. That's how we have to put the alarm. You know, the time resolves. Time resolves. That's how we know, because once we go to deep sleep, I don't know when the 4 o'clock will be there. So I have to put an alarm to make me awake. So it happens so that sometimes you get such a deep sleep, so much get involved into the sleep. Sometimes when you get up, you will have to think, where am I? It happens, where am I? What's the time? Like that. So that shows time and place both have resolved. So limitation in terms of time was not there. Limitation in terms of place was not there. And limitation object-wise also is not there. All your judgments, that I am a human being, I am a female, I am this, I am related to this and this, or I am a sannyasi, all resolve. Any one judgment, suppose if it continues, then definitely that you are not in a deep sleep state. All your opinions about the world as well as about you should resolve. Right? If they are there, opinions about you are still there. I mean, you are aware of yourself. Like a waker and dreamer, whatever the judgments are there, if they persist till then the deep sleep has not come. You have to drop everything. I mean, any self-judgment any self-judgment of a waking state is not there in a deep sleep. And that's how people, if any judgment continues, then you won't get sleep. So like sometime, some kind of a feud, or some conflict occurs. Some conflict occurs. And then you go to sleep. You are not able to sleep. Why? Because the waker is still there. And not just waker, a particular person, a particular facet of me is there when some conflict with somebody. If that is there, if I am aware of that, I am that person, till then there is no sleep. You have to drop everything. Well, so you are no more a knower, not desirer, not agent of action, not enjoyer of action, nothing. Everything drops. So the experience in a deep sleep state proves that I, who was a waker and experienced the world, the same I who experienced the dream world through the dream senses, and dream body, same I is sleeping, right? That much we know. All the three states belong to the same I. That much we know. And that I is in others two states, definitely that I is with limitations as a knower. And known is different. Therefore, automatically duality is there, automatically limitations are there. Well, this duality, knower-known duality, completely resolves in a deep sleep state. I am there. You cannot say that I was not there in deep sleep. You definitely get up and say, yeah, I enjoyed the sleep, I didn't know anything, I enjoyed, etc., etc. Well, you are there, but not as a knower, in which even knower-known duality has resolved. A non-dual I is still there who experiences, and that's how you experience a joy there. A non-dual I, we have already discussed in the first day, that non-dual I experiences the dream, in which there is no limitation. If there is no known, there is no more a knower also, and a limitless I, who is free from the limitation of time, free from the limitation of place, free from the limitation of object-wise, physical limitation, emotional limitation, any limitation which still persists centered on the self, you won't get sleep. Right? So all the limitations drop. And therefore, basically, I is one who is distinct from the senses, the body, physical body, and definitely mind, because mind also resolves still in the deep sleep, I am there. So mind, senses, and entire this assembly is Atma. If you say, we have to tell that you examine the three states, you will find the consciousness is distinct from all the three. Well, that's fine. But consciousness which is distinct, it persists in all the three states. That also is all right. But in deep sleep state proves one more point. Even if the time is not there, still I am there. Right? The concept of time doesn't exist at all. Still I am there. Therefore, my basic nature must be not just consciousness, I must be existence also. Right? I must be existence, which is called Sat. I am just a consciousness that is called Chit. And I am fullness. The fullness I experience in a deep sleep state. Therefore, I must be Ananda also. Our own experience of the three states, analysis of three states, proves that I am Satchidananda. And well, need not be just a deep sleep state. I have described you, even in a waking state, whenever you have a joy, you have dropped the limitations. Not only that, which I could not discuss. In a moment of joy, time flies. Literally, time flies. When people who are just after Valentine, they meet for the first dating, and they meet for the first time, and they are standing on bus stop, and they are talking and talking and talking. Then suddenly they realize, when they started talking, this was a day, and they talked and talked, and then there was a sunset. Then they realize, oh, we talked for three hours. But that's how it is. When I mean, in a moment of joy, time flies. And when there is no moment of joy, then even 1 second becomes a one year like thing. Like Puja Swamiji used to tell that suppose I make some person stand on that tawa like thing, that where pav bhaji used to make, that tawa, hot plate. I give him a stopwatch. Just for 1 minute, you stand on that hot plate, very hot plate. He has to stand with a stopwatch. And he is counting. And that 1 minute looks like 1 year. I tell you, 1 year. And when you are in a moment of happiness, 1 year looks like a 1 month, right? That's how people who are initially they are married. For them, they say, "Oh, our marriage is just first anniversary has come." Oh, time flies. Yeah, time flies. So this is how it is. Moment of joy, time. You are not bound by time. Never. That's your nature. Timelessness is your nature. And therefore, Arjuna, don't worry. They all were there. They are there right now. They will be there. They are of the nature of existence. And that's how I took this much. Now we are not through. We have to go ahead now. So you said this Atma was there earlier, before also, before even the birth of the body. Because body is not Atma, means Atma was all the time there. Atma was never there, that is not. Means even before the birth of body, it was there. Yeah, okay, I accept it. But how will you know? Body is born, that is known. Same way, before the body, Atma existed. How will you know? Have you ever seen, ever a time when Atma was not? Anybody has come across? He's asking us now. Because we said body is born. There was a time when body was not, and then it is born. Well, fine. Let's say I accept it. But before the birth of the body, Atma was never there. That is not all you are saying. Means it was there. How will you say? How will you say? Somebody has to prove. So he is asking us this kind of a question. Because birth means, see how the tradition explains. Birth means which was not there in a previous moment and which is there now. Then you can say birth. Like now the spring has come. Now you see some bird comes out. You saw that yesterday it was not. And now today you are seeing it. You say it has arisen. It is born, right? So birth proves the prior non-existence and now it is existing. You say Atma was not there before. That is not. So how will you prove the prior existence of Atma even before the birth of the body? Could you follow what I am saying? Before the birth of the body, Atma, because you said body is not Atma. But Atma is something distinct. Body is born. Now it is existing. It will go away in future. I agree. But before that, Atma was existing all the time. How will you say? Atma's non-existence, Atma was never non-existent. How will you prove it? How will you prove it? That's what he is asking is. For that, somebody should see the absence of Atma, and then he can say that yes, I saw the absence of Atma, and therefore before. Then now Atma is born. But it is not going to be the case. So prior non-existence of Atma is not there. How will you prove? Who will prove? Who will prove the prior non-existence of Atma? So you are making stories. He is telling us, you are just making stories. And if somebody has to tell that Atma was never there before, to say that also what is required? Atma is required. So Atma is required to prove the absence of Atma. Then in that case, this is a fallacy in the statement, in as much as Atma, if it is needed to prove the non-existence of Atma, we cannot prove it because it's already there. And therefore, prior non-existence of Atma cannot be proved. Then you should accept, well, Atma is distinct from the body. But as the body also came to the existence, Atma also comes to the existence. Because before the birth of the body, Atma was there, you cannot say. Or Atma was not there, that also you cannot say. Because to say something, you need what ultimately? You need a conscious being. Atma is needed. So Atma is needed to prove the non-existence of Atma before the birth, or Atma is needed to prove the existence of Atma before the birth. But Atma is definitely needed to prove the non-existence of Atma before the birth of the body, and in that case, that is a fallacy in the statement. If Atma is needed, means Atma must be present to prove the non-existence of Atma again. Well, that is not possible. And therefore, because we have not seen the birth of Atma, so how will you prove it? And so then we say even the birth of the body also is nobody has seen. What about Atma? Forget about Atma. You are talking about the Atma, but we are saying the birth of the body itself is not seen by me. Right? Birth of the body is not seen by me. He says, at least my parents have seen. My parents have seen the birth of the body. And therefore, I may not be a valid means to prove my birth. But some people are there. Whereas in case of Atma, this is not there. That Atma is definitely needed to prove the non-existence, prior non-existence of Atma. And well, that is not possible. So birth of the body definitely is not proven by me, but is proven by parents. I say proven by parents is birth of Atma or birth of body. Body. Basically, birth of body is seen, not birth of Atma. They have not seen see, what we have proven is one thing. Atma is distinct from body. He says, I accept it now because you have analyzed three states. Now next his question is, as the body is born, same way Atma also is born. Let it be different from the body. But just as along with the body, even Atma is born. And before that, the non-existence, prior non-existence of the Atma is to be proven. Right? Then I can say that Atma is born now. Prior the bird was not there before. Now it is born. And therefore now I can say it has taken a birth. Because yesterday it was not. Today I see it. So I say, same way Atma also was not there before the birth of body. Even though distinct from the body. But just as body is born, same way Atma also is born. To prove that, I need to prove a non-existence, prior non-existence of Atma. That's what I mean. And therefore, who will prove that? Prior non-existence of Atma. Who will prove? You need Atma only. Conscious being is needed to prove anything. This thing cannot prove anything. This cannot prove the birth of me. I can prove the birth of that. You can understand that. A conscious being is needed. So Atma is needed, basically. Atma is needed to prove the prior non-existence of Atma. That's not possible. To non-existence, if it is Atma is non-existent, definitely this Atma is what basically, which is present, is going to prove, and therefore that is not possible. Then this argument comes, well, Atma also is born. We can prove prior non-existence. Not by you, but by your parents. Your parents can definitely tell Atma is born. Atma is born is not told by parents. Body is born, basically. Because Atma, so everyone has seen the birth of the body, not the birth of the Atma. And therefore, we cannot say Atma was not there before the birth of the body. We cannot say that. This is one thing. So, the absence or presence of Atma should be experienced by Atma only. Nothing else can prove. What I am saying is, absence of Atma or presence of Atma before the birth of body can be proven by Atma only. And that is not possible. Absence of itself cannot be proven. When it is there is no absence, first thing. When it is there is no absence. And therefore, it is just ridiculous to say one sees one's absence. Like I am right now here, and I say I Muktatma is absent right now in the hall. What are you talking? When to talk that you must be there, then how will you prove your absence? It is impossible. Could you follow now what I am saying? Yeah. And then this happened here in America. One lady, this has happened, but I am not cooking up the story. One lady, American lady, she married to a person who was a little elderly, in terms of age there was a big difference. And then she complained, she filed a case in a court for divorce. And she said that I later came to know, she told to the judge, I later came to know that this person is an elderly person, between us there is a big difference of age, and he hid that thing from me, everything, and now I want a divorce from him. Then judge asked you, what's the difference between you? What's your birth date? She said, I don't know. Then everyone was laughing. He said, you don't know your birth date means you don't know your age. Then how can you say that there is a difference of age between you and your husband? Then then what happened is, she called few witnesses from outside. And they all came. And then said, for my birth date, these are the witnesses. What are you talking? Why do you bring, for your birthday, you are, to give evidence, you are calling other person? She said, right, because I have not seen my own birth. I have not seen my own birth, and therefore, if I tell you my birth date, you will say, how will you know? Because how will you know your birth? So you will, and you are a court, and therefore you will not go by what I say, because I have heard that I am born on so and so date by my parents. I have not seen my birth, and therefore I have called my parents. They are the witness of my birth. And that's how, and you will believe the witness, who have seen the incident of birth. I have not seen my own incident of a birth, and therefore I have called these people. Right? So that is how it says. That means, if you are not a witness of your birth of body or your birth, how will you prove the even prior non-existence of Atma? If you are not able to prove your birth right now, right, of the body, how will you prove the prior non-existence of Atma? Could you follow what I am saying? So, this is how, the prior birth, let us say, prior it was not there. Or let's put, I should little change it, I'm sorry. If I cannot prove the birth of the body right now, then how will you prove the birth of the Atma, which was even existing before the birth of body. Right? Because we say even before the birth of body, the Atma was there. Because you are not there, that is not. That's what Bhagavan said. That means even before the birth of your body, you were there, all the time there. If you cannot prove the birth of your body itself, how will you prove the prior non-existence of Atma? And now you say with the birth of a body, even Atma is born. Right? Because Atma is not available for perception at all. So you yourself cannot prove the birth of the body, then you definitely cannot prove the birth of Atma. Birth of Atma means prior non-existence of Atma before the birth of the body. Right? Birth means what? Prior non-existence. Well, so that is how one cannot prove it. That's what we said. Then the other person said, wait a minute. Through perception we cannot see Atma. That's right. Because it is the nature of the perceiver, and therefore what you perceive is definitely an object, and here Atma means a subject. This all thing we can understand. And body is definitely an object. So birth of body, of course, parents is a witness and everything, that's fine, because they have not seen Atma to be born along with the body and everything, and therefore it's all fine. But we can give you some inference which proves that Atma also may be born along with the body. Distinct from body, correct. But as the body is also born, Atma also is born. We'll give you some evidence for that. So, we say, look, before the birth of the body, do you remember anything? We say, no. We don't know anything before this birth of the body, where I was and what I was doing and all that. So I don't remember. Well, if you don't remember, means you are not experienced. And therefore you are not there. You were not there before. Right? Because if you have experienced the thing, then you would have remembered little bit, whatever. And then you would have told that before the birth of the body, I was there, this, that, etc. But before the birth of the body, there is a total blankness. That shows Atma was not there. Because Atma only experiences. This cannot experience anything. Good, bad, whatever. A conscious being experiences. And if there is a total blankness of experience and the memory is totally absent. Means experience also is absent, because memory is born of experiences. Right? Memory is always born of experiences. And therefore, if you don't have a memory of before the birth of the body, definitely experiences are also were absent. And experiences were absent means experiencer was not there. So, ho gaya. Along with the birth of the body, Atma must have been born, because before that you have no experiences. That shows experiencer was not there, and therefore Atma was not there. Atma is born along with the body. Distinct from body, but it is born along with the body. So we can prove that way. So we said, wait a minute. Before you are born, where were you? Oh, what a question you are asking us. I was in womb of the mother. Okay, you are in womb of the mother. Now, in womb of mother also you experience so many things. Right? Definitely. Because especially in the last months, 2-3 months, it just moves around and what all kind of things. It makes sound also. My mom listens also sometimes. It makes sounds, certain. Anyway, before you were born, you came out of the womb. You were in a womb. Yeah, I was in a womb. How much do you know? How much do you know about the experiences of womb? Well, I don't know. Then you did not have any experiences, or you did not have memory? I did not have any memory. Therefore, you did not have any experiences. Yeah, I did not have any experiences. You are not there then in womb? Oh, wait a minute. I was there. I must have experience, but I did not have a memory. Same way, before the birth of the body, Atma must have been there. You are going via memory. that you did not remember anything before the birth of the body, therefore you are not there. Well, then you did not remember anything of the womb also. Then you should say, I was not there in the womb. Will you agree to that? No. Not only that, after coming out of the womb also, for first 2 years, whatever has happened, he just doesn't know. Several times mom has to clean her saris and everything, because this fellow always, when he is out, he or she is, when he is there, it won't do anything. When they take in the lab, they start urinating and all kinds of things, everything. Well, at that time only, or threw out something, just threw out. Because take a lot of milk of mother and then they threw out. And then the whole thing they have spoiled. How much do you know? Do you know all this you have done? No, I just don't know. You are not there in the lab? Oh, no, I was there. Well, that's how it is. Before the birth of the body, of any memory you don't have, it doesn't mean you are not there. So you want to prove the prior non-existence of Atma because you did not remember anything, but well, you were there, but you still did not remember. And therefore, you cannot give this kind of inference to us, right? Then third point. You can ask any question in our... keep ready. Then third thing is, that's with respect to scientists. One person said that this is a job of our Vedantins. They are useless people basically, because all the time thinking and thinking and thinking. What do they produce? They are totally not productive people. They should work something, then something is produced. They just keep sitting and doing all this vichara, atma vichara and all that. What is it going to produce? Then we say, what scientists are doing? What scientists are doing? More than they work, they sit and do a lot of things. Do they not produce anything? They produce. Then he says, there is no Atma. This is all cock and bull story, basically. If there is an Atma, we have now, Swamiji, do you know the instruments? You come to our Pentagon, I will show you the instruments we have. Nobody would allow me, but I am just saying like that. You come to a Pentagon, what a sophisticated instruments we have. If there would have been Atma, one or other day, through one or other instrument, through one or other scientist, they would have come across Atma. Because such a sophisticated instruments we have, your Atma is very subtle, we know. Your Atma is very subtle, we know. But whatever subtle, we can catch hold of anything through our instruments. And therefore, till today, no scientist through any instrument has come across the Atma, and therefore Atma is not there. What to answer? What to answer? Can you tell? Just, if you just guess little. I have answered already, but if you have noticed, not now, but for a few minutes. If somebody tells me that through instruments I have never come across Atma and therefore Atma is not there, what's a simple argument for that, to negate that?
That there weren't always the instruments.
Pardon?
That there weren't always those instruments.
There were?
Those instruments were always there.
Instruments were?
Weren't always there.
Instruments were not there.
Yeah.
But now we have instruments.
Yeah.
So then through instruments, somebody would have come across. And you say your Atma is present in everyone. Then through instruments, they would have come across, yeah, there is Atma inside. Right? They do analysis of even cell. Every cell they do and take an analysis, do an analysis. Then if Atma is there, at least they would have caught it. But till today, nobody has come across Atma. And therefore, Atma is not there. This is all, that's how we say. It's all your Vedantins they are always making a story. To keep the people under their spell. What's a simple answer? Very simple. What could be the answer? Atma is never available for objectification through the instruments, much less through the senses. Instruments are only helpful when senses are there. Any instrument you keep, but at least you first require senses. If eye itself is not there, what microscope is going to work? Microscope is to enhance the ability of the eyes. But if eyes itself is not there, how will you prove that Atma is there? Because thing is ultimately through senses what you come across, through senses and instruments what you come across, it is object. It is objectifiable, right? Whereas Atma is something who is a seer through the instruments. Very seer. That's how I said that knower in a waking state comes and sits here and takes the help of these eyes as instrument and sees the world, transacts the world in terms of seeing. And therefore Atma is even something behind the senses. And therefore if instruments definitely need help of senses, and then those senses itself cannot objectify Atma, then where is the question of instruments which objectify the Atma? The very subject is a Atma. There's a simple answer. What is subject can never be available for objectification. What is subject is never available for objectification. If it is available for objectification, subject becomes objectifiable, then you need another subject to objectify. Then that subject is available for objectification, then you need a third self, subject, to objectify. That story never ends. So, subject is subject. We call a subject which is never available for objectification either through senses or even through the enhanced perception through the instruments. And therefore, scientists will never come across the subject called Atma. Simple answer. Subject is subject, object is object. Subject can never become object. Object can never become subject. Right? That's how we explain. Anyway, but why it is so? Why it is so that it is never be objectified through the senses? Because through senses, if I want to objectify, it should have either of five things. What? Either it should have a sound, then I can objectify through this sense. If it should have some color form, I could have objectified through this. It should have some taste, then I can objectify through the, or it should have some good fragrance. Atma has a good fragrance because it's a Krishna, basically. Atma is Krishna. There is no doubt. We are going to prove that also. So then it should have good fragrance because wherever he moves, then, and he was a very Madhura also, Adharam, Madhuram, etc. Then taste also it should be sweet. And you never come across. I mean, Ashabdam, Asparsham, Arupam, Arasam, Nityam, Agandhavat. And therefore it is not an object of the senses, since it doesn't possess a sound, it doesn't possess a form, doesn't possess a taste, does not possess, smell, and therefore through senses and through even enhanced perception, also through the instruments, it will never be objectified. It is just a subject. Then what is the proof of the existence of the subject? Right? If object is there, then because you can prove. Why? Through the senses, through the instruments. But then you say the subject is never available for the senses and even for the instruments. How will you prove the existence of self or the subject? That's the thing. It may be so. Subject proves its existence on its own. Nature of subject is such which does not require proof of existence. Why? Because existence is its nature. If existence is the nature of a self, it doesn't need to be proved. I mean, it doesn't need to be proved through the senses for existence. Could you follow what I'm saying? Yeah. Can you give some example? Yeah, example is there. Like a sun, who is Prakasha Swarupaha, whose nature is illumination. To prove to prove other objects, to prove the objects of the world, definitely you need sunlight. So they are all illumined through the light of sun. But sun illumines on its own. Sun doesn't require any other light to get illumined. The other objects need for illumination sunlight, but sun doesn't need any other light for illumination. Why? Because sun's nature is illumination. Atma's nature is existence, and therefore Atma doesn't need any other senses or the instrument of scientists to prove the existence. Because by nature it is existent. It is existence. And therefore such a Atma was there, never there, it's not there. Will not be there, will not be the case. And right now, of course, it is there. And therefore, now here, Arjuna, don't grieve. You feel that all of these people are going to die, they become non-existent in future. Well, that will not be the case, because by nature, all are existence only, Sat Swarupaha, and therefore don't grieve that they will become non-existent, etc. We'll see that further. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.